Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Paramahamsa, Parivar Kacharya, Stored has started systematic divine grace is confounded child. Sheila Abhachan of Inna Bhakti Vedanta Swami Papa Maharaja. Jaya Vishnu Paramahamsa, Parivar Kacharya, Stored has started systematic divine grace. Sheila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Papa Maharaja. Aranta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Si Kahau Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasari Sri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Sevakunj Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Sri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Sri Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Maya Yamuna Maya Ki Jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Our glories to the sum of the waters, our glories to the sum of the waters, our glories to the sum of the waters, our glories, all glories to Sisi Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasat Tato Jaya Mudiraya Nastarai Svatadesu Nityam Bhagavata Seva Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhagavati Stiki. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto what?
Canto 1, chapter 5, text 18.
Canto 1, chapter 5, text 18. It's a very nice verse. So we'll see what we can get from there. So, Nita, you can resume. Gurukul is? Mataji's. So word for word translation and translation and purport by His Divine Grace, this confirmed Acharya, Srila Abhacharya Navinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tasya, for that purpose, ever, only, eto, reason, prayateta, should endeavor, kavidaha, one who is philosophically inclined, na, not, labhyate, is not obtained, yad, what, brahmatam, wandering, uparyada, from top to bottom, tat, that, labhyate, can be obtained, dukkhavat, like the miseries, anyataha, as a result of previous work, sukham, sense enjoyment, kalena, in course of time, sabvatra, everywhere, gabhira, subtle, ramasa, progress. Translation. Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for the purposeful end which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet, Brahmaloka, down to the lowest planet, Patala. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. Please responsibly repeat. Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet, Brahmaloka, down to the lowest planet, Patala. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time. Just as in course of time we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. Purport. Every man, woman also, everywhere is trying to obtain. You know what? Whatever you do, people will find fault with you. Prabhupada's purpose. Some scholars, they find fault with Prabhupada. Many scholars, they praise Prabhupada's purpose. But some scholars who are so enviously critical, They find fault with Prabhupada's purport. They say, oh, you guys are gender biased. Because you don't discuss about women in your purport. It's all about he, man, 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 you know. So the fault finders, they will always find a way to, you know, whet their appetite. Some men abusively engage in trade, industry, economic development, political supremacy, etc. And some of them are engaged in fruitive work to obtain to become happy in the next life by attaining higher planets. It is said that on the moon, the inhabitants are fit for greater sense enjoyment by drinking samaras. And the Pritraloka is obtained by good charitable work. So there are various programs for sense enjoyment, either during this life or in the life after death. Some are trying to reach the moon or other planets by some mechanical arrangement, for they are very anxious to get into such planets without doing good work. But it is not to happen. By the law of the Supreme, different places are meant for different grades of living beings according to the work they have performed. By good work only, as prescribed in the scriptures, can one obtain birth in a good family, opulence, good education, and good bodily futures. We see also that even in this life, one obtains a good education or money by good work. Similarly, in our next birth, we get such desirable positions only by good work. Otherwise, it will not so happen that two persons born in the same place at the same time are seen differently, placed according to previous work. But all such material positions are impermanent. The positions in the topmost Brahmaloka and in the lowest Patala are also changeable according to our own work. The philosophically inclined person must not be tempted by such changeable positions. We should try to get into the permanent life of bliss and knowledge, where he should try to get into the permanent life of bliss and knowledge, where he will not be forced to come back again to the miserable material world, either in this or that planet. Miseries mixed with happiness. Miseries are mixed, and mixed with happiness are two features of material life. And they are obtained in Brahmaloka and in other lokas also. They are obtained in the life of the demigods and also in the life of the dogs and hogs. The miseries and mixed happiness of all living beings are only of different degree and quality, but no one is free from the miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. Similarly, everyone has his destined happiness also. No one can get more or less of these things simply by personal endeavors. Even if they are obtained, they can be lost again. One should not, therefore, waste time with these flimsy things. One should only endeavor to go back home, to go back to home. To go back to God. That should be the mission of everyone's life. Come again, to me, understand? So Chaitanya Manomvistam Stavitam Yenam Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Vadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpataribhyacha Kripasunabhya Evacha Patitanam Vaishnava Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinam Namaste Saraswati Deva. So thank you for finding the time to come for this segment of our morning parties. Parties are always good. People entice people to come to, for instance, international conferences, because then they say, "Oh, there'll be sophisticated lounge." And you'll be entertained to social interactions. We are human beings. We need the interactions. We need parties. But what type of party you're involved in? So our parties, they are purifying. And in the morning from 4:30, in most temples, 4:30 they start their parties. Here you start your parties pretty early, so which is good. It will keep you strong. That's a very strong foundation for the devotees who are fortunate to be here. So, the title of this chapter is none other than instructions on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this text basically is one of those texts that I love in the Bhagavatam. Tasheva heto prayate kovido. Not labhyate yet brahmatam upariyadha. Tal labhyate dukkha ayanti sukham. Kalena sabhata gabhira ramasa. There is this verse in the Bhagavatam. Brahmand Brahmi te konya bhagyavan jiva. Who doesn't like to travel here? Who doesn't like to travel? I don't like to travel. Raise up your hand. I don't like to travel. This is the only thing I hate in devotional service. I don't like it at all. So traveling becomes it's like a burden to me. I think I was just able to make some adjustments in my life. If I'm in the city, I like going out, but all this travel, taking a train or taking a plane and long distance travels, I don't like. But that is very much contrary to the nature of the soul. Nature of the soul likes the soul is by nature always moving. Brahmanda Brahmite. Moving from one Brahmanda to the other. For what? By dint of fruitive activities. And in America, people like to relocate. Maybe you're born in New York. Parents are in New York. And then the child grows up. After finishing his graduate, finishing his master's, he says, I want to relocate. I need a job in California. Yeah. People just like to move like that, So, relocation or movement is one of the endemic characteristics of the soul. And there is this external movement and internal movement. Internal movement of the soul is the principle of reincarnation that gives rise to reincarnation. The child is born, changing bodies. The soul is not affected by that. But then the body is changing. And then at some point in time, the soul has to relocate. It has to inhabit another body. So in devotional service, we want to stop these material relocations. I remember one time I was in New York, then I just came out to fix something, I think my phone or something like that. And some 3 black boys, they saw me on Doti and Tilak and all this thing. Then they approached me and they asked me some questions. I said I'm a monk. That's why I dress like this. And, when they understand that I travel all over the world, they say, so which place do you really like best in your travels? New York? I said, no. They were disappointed. I said, there's no best place in this material world. There's a place, there is basically, you observe these things in any place, whether it's in Washington, D.C., whether it's New York, whether it's in Taiwan. I said, you have birth, people are born, they get old, they get sick, and they die. And the sense gratification is it's all pervasive, anywhere. And there's some places they eat frogs. They were laughing. They said, what you said makes sense, Miseries are there. Miseries are there. Happiness is also there, relative happiness. Miseries and happiness. This is a place of dualities. Material world is a place of dualities. So we are always looking for greener pastures. We're also looking to ways to increase our happiness, our material happiness. But anywhere we go, any type of relocation we make, we'll find that we're not satisfied. We're not satisfied. So, the Bhagavatam's instruction, or Narada Muni's instruction, is that we should focus on devotional service. Because it is by dint of the cultivation of devotional service that could assure us of emancipation from these miseries of the material world. Birth, death, disease, old age. The miseries that are created by the mind and the senses. Miseries that are created by the body. Miseries are caused by other living entities. You see, we are so big compared to the mosquito. But we have to protect ourselves from the mosquito. Mosquitoes, they give us miseries. And material nature brings people together and creates an earthquake, flush up so many beings. So in the material world, our lives are not secured. Although we have all these insurances and all these things, but insurances, they cannot protect us. And so the very idea of material existence is counterproductive to our eternal nature. But majority of the people on the planet, they are yet to analyze the situation they are in and make some decision about what to do. You are lucky. We are fortunate. That we understand, I'm a prisoner here. Prisoner's plan, major plan is what? To get out from the prison. And sometimes some prisoners, They like the prison. They become acclimatized to the prison activities, prison conditions. So when even there is even the governor comes to exercise, or the minister or the head of state comes to exercise their prerogative of mercy, and come to the prison and says, "Oh, you are discharged by my orders." And some people, they say, "No, I'm fine here." So devotional service is also an opportunity for us to become emancipated from the clutches of material existence. It's like Prabhupada has come to enable that emancipation. So if you follow Prabhupada's teachings, Prabhupada has guaranteed that he will make provisions to open the gate, the back door of the spiritual world for us. In as much as we follow the four regulative principles, and we're chanting every day, at least 16 rounds, and we're doing service in his movement. You see, if you have some connection with Modi's son, you can have access to the Prime Minister's quarter. Because he will come and open the door. If even the securities are there, he has a way. Either he will get some door open for you to get it. That's called connection. So we have the spiritual connection by dint of Prabhupada's establishment of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. But let's understand that our primary object, our primary duty is to struggle to become free from our jail term. We are jailbirds. Forget about any other thing. We are jailbirds. Sometimes people don't want to hear this. But it's true that we are prisoners. And so devotional service creates an environment where we can be released from whatever long term of imprisonment we have. We find that majority of people on the planet, they work so hard, but they are looking for happiness. And I bet you they are not happy. They may have all the money. You think that Musk is happy? He is the richest man on the planet. Sometimes we look at people and we see them from the external perspective. And we think they're happy. I've gotten close to so many reputable people, and their lives are in a mess. Why? Because they lack the connection with the reservoir of all pleasure. Basic fundamental thing is they lack connection with the reservoir of all pleasure. And so just see our great fortune. People work so hard. In America, some people they have 3 jobs. Some doctors, they work from 1 or, they work in the night, they work in the day, different hospitals. And they're very rich. But sometimes they're so rich, and then they commit suicide. So money alone does not buy happiness. Money can buy you relative happiness, but sustainable happiness money cannot buy. And that's why a number of these high-profile personalities, even celebrities, they're involved in drugs. The drugs, help to keep them high. But then it's also not sustainable. There's nothing wrong in looking for pleasure. By nature, we are ananda. one of our components, one of the components of the soul is Ananda. Characteristically, we are meant to be blissful. But we are looking for happiness in the wrong places. We are looking for happiness in alcohol. We are looking for happiness in cigarettes. We are looking for happiness in meat eating. We are looking for happiness in illicit sex. So that is a problem. And look at all these boys. If I were fortunate to be introduced to Krishna consciousness at here, this tender age, I would have been a great fortune. So all these kids, they are exceptional people. They're very, very lucky. And so it's important for us to recognize our great fortune and walk according to the prescription of this verse. Our highest objective, our highest goal. We have many, many goals, but the highest goal should be to attain Krishna Prema. It doesn't mean that you will not work to be able to sustain yourself, to feed yourself. I don't preach like that. I'm sorry. Sometimes people say, well, the python doesn't work. It just stays there and then the food comes naturally. So if you want to also do like that, it's okay. But we're not encouraging people to be like a python. I mean, it's just like people have to work so hard to acquire skills, degrees, and all those stuffs. But for what? To be able to render quality service to Krishna. The reason why a number of people, I was speaking with one devotee in Ohio, in Columbus, one of my friends. So I went to Ohio and I went to the temple. So he was hosting me in his house. So he embarks on, professional preaching to professionals. And he had 3 masters. So I chastised him. I said, why you have to waste your time with 3 masters? You should have just gone straight and get a PhD. He said, no, Maharaj. You see, all these 3 masters, they are connected with my job. And now, I don't go to work. I just stay in my house, and then I send people to different cities and different places, different states for work. And I have all the time for myself to do my professional preaching. Yeah. So, suppose he was not clever and smart like that. He could even be one of those who complain that, I don't have time to chant japa because of work. But now he has elevated himself materially, and so he's the director. He's the director of the company. He sends people to different places, and he just sits back at home and, give quality time to his family and to Krishna. But if you want to work like a jackal, you don't need to go to school. Because you work so hard, and then you get a peanut payment, and it's not even enough to sustain yourself and your family. And you will not even have the time because you work so many hours, and you will not even have the time to come to Mangalati because after the end of the work, you become so weak. So it's just common sense. Oh yeah? Prasanta, is it true? Yeah, it's common sense. It's logic. So, we have an obligation on this planet. We have to engage in devotional service. That is the topmost goal of our lives. Everything else we are doing is just to support our devotional service. And then the happiness will also come naturally. They say chant and be happy. If you're chanting, you should be happy. So, it is so important for us to focus on the ultimate goal, the bigger picture. The bigger picture of our material existence is to attain Krishna consciousness, to cultivate devotional service. So anything we are doing, we have to incorporate devotional service in it. It might be difficult in the beginning, but if you get into it, you get used to it, you get accustomed to it, you get acclimatized to it, and it becomes like a staple food. What's a staple food here? So it becomes like rice you eat every day. Do people complain about rice? They enjoy it. It doesn't say, to eat rice is so difficult. Have you ever had people complain that it's so difficult to eat rice? Rice is soft and it's also very nourishing. People like it. So devotional service, when we practice devotional service and get to, especially when we get to the clearing stage, we achieve ruchi. We really have to control ourselves, otherwise we will not want to do anything else because of the taste. So, you're looking for happiness in this world, correct, that's okay. When you engage in devotional service, you'll be able to attain happiness as side effects of your devotional practice. You don't want to get into trouble, you want to control yourself. Yes, perform devotional service. Self-control becomes like a concomitant factor. So you don't need to endeavor separately how to control your senses. Just by taking prasadam, and only prasadam, the tongue is controlled. And the Papa would ask, what is the difficulty? Yes? What's the difficulty? So, we have been revolving around or moving around from one planet to the other in search of enjoyment. Brahmanda Brahmite. From one Brahmanda to the other. That's how we're moving. And that is the nature of the entity. It's been acclimatized to movements, taking different bodies, staying in one planet, one universe, going to another universe, another bed in another universe, another planet, hellish planet, Brahmaloka. The living entity is accustomed to travels. So when people are very much eager to travel, don't blame them. That is the inherent nature of the soul. We'll be moving like that. And something you've been doing for a long time, you get acclimatized to it. It becomes part of your nature. So, we want to stop this movement in the material world because it's a prison and we move from one cell to the other. The purpose of devotional service is to stop this movement and be able to eventually move to the spiritual world. But sometimes people will say, I don't know what is happening in the spiritual world. No, it's written in the Bhagavatam. I mean, you need to know all the things that are happening there. There's a lot of enjoyment there. Yes, if you don't know, it's a problem to have an excuse that, well, I better remain here because At least I know how to get around here. But look at our situation. We have miseries. We get sick. We get old. Spiritual world, everyone is Nava Yopata. So we all very much love our sweet 16 status of life. Sweet 16. When you have sweet 16, you're very attractive. Yeah. When you're 16 years old, whether you're a boy or a girl, oh, you are superlatively attractive. But in the spiritual world, everyone is more or less of that age status. They look like sweet 16 years old. So there are so many advantages that we'll get. The trees are Kalpavriksha trees. You know, so if you understand what is going on in the spiritual world, you hate here. You hate this place. Yeah. So it is befitting that we engage in devotional service and not follow the general tendency, the general activities that are going on in the material world. Because material world, like Prabhupada mentions in the purport, you know, people, they work so hard to try to attain happiness. But if you mean they attain the relative happiness, it's not permanent. Everything could be taken away at any time. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time. Just as in course of time, we obtain miseries, even though we do not desire them. No one desires miseries. If there is a mall where miseries is sold, they will not have customers. They will not have customers. So, because nobody wants miseries. I've not conducted any quantitative study, but this is an assumption that nobody wants miseries. Anybody who likes miseries here, raise up your hand. So even this sample, it shows that, you know, nobody likes misery. So we should endeavor for that happiness in devotional service that will enable us to reconnect with Krishna and go back to our original services at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any comments or questions? Your Guru Kul, is there any questions? Hey, Guru Kul, don't sit behind the pillar. Just move this way. They were thinking this Swami worries people too much. Any comments or questions? It's a simple text, simple understanding, and everything is very practical. We all experience miseries. Majority of us want to travel. So that's the nature of the soul. Soul doesn't stay in one place. Changing bodies, going from one universe to the other. All right, in the absence of any comments or questions, we'd like to adjourn this. Okay. Basically, in the 21st century, majority of people will be congregational devotees. Congregational devotees means that they have their profession, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur did. They have their professions, they have their families, but they instill Krishna consciousness in their families. They develop themselves devotionally to become a role model in their professional setting. I mean, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was a magistrate, he was a judge. And so that set the ball rolling. At the same time, he was manning a very reputable position in at the Puri temple. And so, yeah, there's nothing wrong in people pursuing their professional developments, but the point is that there should be proper integration, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur did. There should be proper integration of the professional pursuits and devotional service. In fact, devotional service should be the primary objective. Primary objective in the sense that the first thing you do should be a devotional service. You become regulated. You go to bed on time so that you can wake up to be able to, attend Mangalati or to be able to chant your rounds before you go out. If you are not regulated, then it boils down to the point that you have to go to work and then you start struggling on how to chant 16 rounds in the day. And then it becomes like trying to chant my rounds. But it shouldn't be trying to chant my rounds. Trying to chant my rounds means I struggle so much to do the 16 rounds because I'm initiated. I've taken a vow. And then after that, I got relieved from this. It's not something that is like a burden. Susukam avyaya. His devotional service is inexhaustibly blissful, full of happiness. So, yeah. And I also know a number of people, professionals, and especially in America, they're very serious in their devotional service. I know a number of people in Delhi, they're very serious in their devotional service. They come to Bangarati practically every day with their tie on, and when they finish, they do japa, and then they zoom out to their office. Devotional service becomes their primary objective. They come to associate with the devotees, associate with Krishna. It means they are effectively managing their time. Now the problem is when we don't manage our time effectively. Because even your work, it's Krishna who gives you the strength to do it. Krishna said He is the power in us. So we can't really do anything without the sanction of the Lord. So why don't we just recognize that and do the needful? So those who think that their profession is the prime objective and devotional service is secondary, they're missing the point. I remember, I was speaking with one of my friends in the Maryland area near Washington, D.C. So I was at their home. They called me over for some program. So we're talking, and the husband said, "Oh, my wife loves me so much." So the wife said, "Yes, I love you, but Krishna first." So my love for Krishna first, before you. So this is the mentality of people who are serious in their devotional service. Yeah, you should value your profession, value your work, but the value for Krishna consciousness, your cultivation of Krishna consciousness, is the one that could facilitate a greater input even in your work. Yeah, I know of one family in New Jersey, in America. The girl at that time was 8 years old. The boy was 6 years old. And so they invited me at their temple to make a presentation. So after the presentation, I was going to leave. And the driver was waiting for me. The driver who brought me from the other temple was waiting for me. And these kids, they come around to pay obeisances. And it is in the snow during the winter. So I was making a joke that, hey, you American boys and girls, you don't need to do this. You don't need to come and pay obeisances in the snow. So I was cracking a joke with them. And so, but then I turned to them to ask that, okay, so you're now in trouble. You came to me. Okay, how many rounds you're chanting? You know, the boy, he's 6 years old. He said 16. I turned to the sister. I said, how many rounds you're chanting? She said 16. My thought was, these are American children. They can talk anything they like. Then I didn't believe them. Their mother understood the situation and she interjected. She said, Maharaj, 16 rounds. And she said, and they are the best students in their class. I've seen so many. I've seen someone even brought his family, met me with his family. They visited Mayapur. The girl, the first child is 20 years. So I asked how many rounds she chanted. The father told me she's not chanting. The same American, 6 years old boy chanted 16 rounds, the best student in his class. 8 years old girl chanted 16 rounds, the best student in her class. So, when we take Krishna, when we put Krishna at the forefront, he will protect us. He will provide what we lack. And he will preserve what we have. It's just a practical thing. So we should not make the mistake of thinking that by how much we labor hard, that determines the outcome of our endeavor. That Krishna is the ultimate doer. Yeah. It's unfortunate sometimes some people, give in to the pressures of material existence and then forget their spiritual life. And we should sympathize with such people. Because it means they don't have proper guidance, they didn't manage their time properly, they were not very much keen and serious to understand that material world is pada pada, hi vi pada. Every step you take could be dangerous. Yeah. So we should be serious with our spiritual life. We should make Krishna the forefront, and Krishna will nourish us, will enrich us with all the tools that we need to be able to succeed even in our material endeavors. Will give us the strength to have sustainable success. What's the time now?
7:05.
So what time is supposed to class? It's supposed to stop 7 o'clock? The class is supposed to stop at 7 o'clock? What?
No, it's fine, Maharaj. We will not overstep.
You didn't answer my question. What time is it supposed to class?
We want to late, no problem. I mean, those who have 8 o'clock class are leaving.
All right. So, any other comments or questions? Ask your questions. I'm leaving today. Yes.
Sometimes health fails and the student to work hard towards getting good scores and also being devotees to render service also. When health fails, so for me at least, my priorities goes towards studies. So and service of so then we see there's a little guilt that I'm not doing properly, managing things. But then there is the health issue also. How to balance and get the proper attitude towards what should be done.
Yeah. If you are schooling and your health fails, yeah, there is some type of imbalance that will creep in. But what you could do is to raise the bar of your sadhana so that if the health fails, you can still do the minimum. Take for instance, if you are chanting 16 rounds, you could decide to chant 20 rounds. I had one of my mentees when she was in an Ivy League, she was chanting 32 rounds. So I told her to stop. To just chant 16 rounds. She refused. Because she was afraid of Maya. Because in her school, she told me, you're coming out from the class, you go into the lobby, you see a boy and a girl having sex. So she was scared. So she was chanting like 32 rounds every day to protect herself. So, but then, when she gets sick, terribly sick, she gets down to 16 rounds. So it's a good strategy that we do above the average, above the requirement. And so that when we run into problems of like illness, we can still do the minimum. Do you understand? Yeah. But if we make the requirement our optimum, when we get sick, we will fall below that. It's just natural. Yeah. That's the secret of how to do it. That's a term in business or in management. I can't remember the term, but that's how to do it. You go above the requirement. And when there's some trouble, you fall down, but then you go to the level of the minimum requirement. That's how it works. Does it make sense? Any other comments or questions? Hey, Guru Kolis, can you ask some questions? All right, in the absence of any other questions, we'd like to adjourn the class. Thank you very much for participating in Krishna consciousness. Shall we close? Because there's no comments or questions, so we cannot be sitting down here.
Maharaj, that means at any cost we should not lose our Krishna consciousness. Means we should not go in an attempt to gain something temporary. That we can see on day-to-day basis, that whether I'm losing Krishna, I'm losing my track, as you said, harmony, sadhana, generative, and even our attitude that we have to do some service to Prabhupada, do some service to mission, that means we are losing the track. So that means immediately we should take guidance and come back on track. Because that's what Vasu says. At the laws of spiritual life, there is no gain.
Sure. Yeah, we should. There could be some challenges. Mind may give us some challenges. Body may give us some challenges. But yes,
we should endeavor not to lose our Krishna consciousness. And that's why I was given this formula that, we should raise our standard. So when we run into problems, the mind disturbs, or we have physical ailment, we may fall down. But the fall down means that we fall down to the required standard. When we raise our standard, we are bound to have difficulties. Mind may give us difficulties. Body may give us difficulties. Environment may give us difficulties. And we may fall down. So, but then when we fall down to the normal requirement of 16 rounds. That is how to sustain your minimum devotional standard. But if you say 16 rounds is enough, when you really have a big problem, say health, you may not be able to chant. You may not be able to fulfill your vows. That's what works. Does it make sense? All right. That's the management technology. They have high production, optimum production. The production that is required, that is prescribed by the authorities or by the the board of directors, they go far above that. And so when there is some crisis, they fall, the production falls. But then it still doesn't fall below what the board of directors have prescribed. Let's say 10, I can't just remember. So devotional life also should be like that. Then you will always follow up with your vows. You will not fall. You will not say, oh, I have to chant my rounds tomorrow. Because it could accumulate. So set a high standard for yourself. All right. Srila Prabhupada ki. Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Maharaj, we are so grateful for your association. These past 4 days have been so self-charging and so nourishing. And devotees are also enlivened. And it has been so exciting arranging the program and institute and then hearing and hearing you and all these. We are so grateful, Maharaj, and we want to request, please keep blessing us with your wonderful association. And
anytime you want me, just call. I mean, okay. Anytime you want me, just call me. That solves your problem, okay?
So we are so grateful to you, Maharaj. Let's thank Maharaj for his such a charging and enlivening association, and for Balad chanting 3 times. Bhakti Vasudeva Swami Maharaja ki.